So I had to do national service, and I didn't join the regulars then. I wanted to join. Look, once I got into it, I really enjoyed it. It was just like doddle for me. And don't forget, at school I was very fit. So I didn't suffer with the fitness side or the physical side or the mental side. A lot of people suffered in regards they'd never left home before. Young boys who never left home before, or some guys who are overweight and never exercised before. But I just flew through Llewellyn Barracks, which was where we trained in Bulawayo, which was our regimental. So that's where I did my national service. And then obviously once you've done your basic training, you go out into the bush then, and you get allocated. I was 129 intake, and we were the first guys to do a year. So we did a year. And as soon as you finished your basic training, they call it your basic training, you pass out and you go home for a week or something like that. And then as soon as you come back, you're off to the operational areas. And we went to places like Mukumbura, Musingezi, Centenary, Honda Valley, all sorts. But then when I was doing my national service, they asked for volunteers for SAS. So I volunteered. I said, oh gee, I wouldn't mind, I'd really enjoy this sort of thing. So I volunteered and I got on the selection course. And it was a doddle for me, I just walked it. And I did, I won the speed march. I broke the record on the speed march, which is 25 Ks or something with full kit. And because I was so fit, it to me was nothing. And anyway, I passed the whole selection. That's all the, like you see on British TV, all the stuff you got to go through. I got through all that and the weapons training, and then they said, right, we want you to join the SAS. And because the selection course was in the Nyanga, right up in the mountains, in the cold and the wet and long distances to walk, and it was pretty physical. But they gave me a piece of paper because I was under 21, and you get permission from your family before you sign. And Dad said, no, it's not a good idea. You should do apprenticeship or do something better, which maybe in hindsight was a good thing. I might have been shot by now, you don't know. But when I went back, when Mom and Dad said, no, I don't think it's a good idea for you to be a regular soldier, because this would have been permanent SAS. So not national service, just permanent, that's it, SAS soldier. When I went back, because I did so well in the SAS selection, I was promoted straight away to a Lance Corporal. Yeah, so as soon as I got back in the field, the lieutenant said, you're now Lance Corporal, mate, you're going up in the ranks. Yeah, so that's where my leadership started in the army. Yeah, so, and then I worked my way up to full corporal. So I was a full corporal. Section commander, used to call us section commanders, yeah. And obviously with the SAS training, I picked up a lot of skills that they didn't even know about, So I had 8 guys under me, and work with 8 guys in the bush, Yeah. Look, by the time I went for my national service in 1974, I think it was, 1974. So, and we were still fighting the war till 1980. So you can imagine how many regiments, how many intakes went after me. After 1 year, it increased to 2 years because of the shortage of troops. Because what happens is when you finish your national service, then you go back to work, or you do your apprenticeship, you carry on with your apprenticeship. And then we used to do 2 call-ups a year, something like that. And then it increased to 6 on, 6 off. 6 weeks in the bush, 6 weeks at home, 6 weeks in the bush, 6 weeks at home. And it intensified so much that eventually we had to do another year, full year, because the Rhodesian troops were short on the ground. They didn't have enough people. So that's why we had to do so many call-ups. So it was very difficult to work between army and then come back and do your apprenticeship and get your head around what you're doing at work, and then after 6 weeks back in the army and back at work, because you had to keep changing. So yeah, and you had to switch on. You know, if you went for your call-up and you weren't switched on, you could get killed quite easily, you know. So the transition from one environment straight to another one was quite difficult. A lot of people had breakdowns, and I was pretty tough. It didn't really affect me too badly. But a lot of people had breakdowns, marriage breakdowns, all that kind of thing, yeah. Because they just couldn't deal with it. A lot of the wives couldn't deal with it, or girlfriends couldn't deal with it. So, just the way it was. If someone slammed a door, you'd be taking cover. Or someone dropped something, or car backfired or something, you'd dive under you, because your nerves are on end. Because when you're in the war situation, there's landmines, it's mortar bombs, it's getting fired in camps. Landmines are a scary thing. You know, landmine. I was in a landmine, in a truck when they hit the landmine. The cab was blown to pieces, but we were still okay because all our trucks had water in the tyres. Then we had big, thick conveyor belt, and underneath the truck was shaped like a V, so the deflected the shrapnel. And then we had sandbags on top of that, so these trucks were really weighted down. So when they hit the landmine, you can imagine the amount of weight. So, but what deflected everything was the conveyor belt. So the shrapnel never got us, but it's just the explosion and the pain in your ears, and the flash, you know. But yeah, no, the army was, look, you had to do it. If you didn't go, there were people that just refused to go, and what do you call them? Reserve police, or the police reserve, or the regimental police. They would come and pick you up at work and chuck you in the back of a Land Rover, and you'd end up in detention barracks, where you do everything on the double, and you won't miss your call up again after that lot. It was tiring. It was flipping hard work. I ended up with the MAG, which was a massive machine gun with about 700 rounds, and we did Fire Force. So we did the helicopter Fire Force, and when you go on a 6-week camp, you do 3 weeks patrolling and ambushing and OPs. And OP is observational post, and you just sit there, and you just sit with your binoculars and observe an area. And then if you spot the terrorist, you don't engage. You call Fire Force, and then you mark your front line of your troops. So you just drop a smoke grenade so they know exactly where you are, and then you direct everybody in on the terrorists. But you don't actually engage them. If you see them, you don't engage them. The Fire Force will deal with them. And it could be RLI, it could be us, it could be SAS, it could be the Parachute Regiment, it could be anyone. So if you spot, like once we spotted 30 of them, fully kitted out, and we called in Fire Force, and they called in the Hunter jets first, and they bombarded them, and then the Fire Force came in and wiped them all out. So so for 3 weeks you'd patrol, and your patrolling would be OPs in the day, and at night ambush. So you'd go down to a track where you'd think there'd be movement from the terrorists, and you'd ambush. Set up your claymore, set your machine guns up, set your cut-off positions, all that kind of thing, and sit there all night in ambush, and then about 5 in the morning pack up and move back to an OP. But everything had to be done really quiet, because what the terrorists used to do is send little pickaninnies out and pretend they were herdsmen, and what they would do is be the spies, and they would look for operational people and tell the terrorists, and they would scarper them.